Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick video about the DJI Mic 2. And that's because I did not cover this when it officially launched. I did, however, cover the Mic 2 in conjunction with the Osmo Pocket 3 because I purchased the Creator Bundle back at launch, which, traditionally I stay away from these Creator Bundles, but because the Mic 2 actually was launched in conjunction with the Pocket 3, I did feel, along with that 1-inch sensor, we were working with a legitimate piece of hardware. So I got the little bundle, the travel case, and all the little accessories. And I knew that inherently, because I already had one of the Mic 2 units, I would not want to buy the entire Mic 2 setup when it officially launched, which we didn't have an ETA or a price, but we knew it was going to be around $350, just like Gen 1, which I've owned since the summer of 22. An excellent system, still one of the best on the market, but of course, I won't call it antiquated, but leapfrogged by Gen 2. So when the Gen 2 option finally launched in this capacity, which was a single transmitter and receiver for $220, I purchased this ahead of a trip that I just went away on, my first so-called vacation since major surgery, just trying to, feel a little bit more like a human being. And I'm glad I got it because while I was away, and I did another video on this, they actually launched the little wireless adapter for Sony E-mount cameras, which just bolsters the overall capability and life-changing impact for me that the Mic 2 has to offer. Now, the best features of the Mic 2, whether you're buying the kit that includes the charging case or you're doing what I did and getting the single transmitter microphone unit because you already have one of the mics, or you just want the white transmitter, you're, as I mentioned, spending considerably less. You're only buying what you need, but the upgrade is significant because you are now getting 32-bit float in your lav system, which means that capturing audio levels at the time of filming, you no longer have that same process. I don't even want to call it tedious because most of us are accustomed to doing this with lav systems, but that nature, that experience that we're all accustomed to and we know we have to do in order to make sure audio is clean when we're capturing it, it's kind of gone the way of, the dodo. Because now with 32-bit float, whether you're buying this system or Rode's Wireless Go 2, you just don't have to worry about it. You're going to be able to get the levels right in post with the magic of 32-bit float without getting too deep into that. Then in addition to that, unlike Gen 1, we have onboard storage. So we now have 8 gigs of internal storage for redundancy. So your audio is going to get captured even if somehow at the camera level things get screwed up. And also I have to say, at the $220 price point, I already said it a few times, I'm only purchasing what I need. And while I like the convenience of the travel case for charging, firmware, all of that good stuff, I like the way this packs up into my gear bag a lot better. I'm not putting a spin on things, it's just true. These sort of packages, while convenient and they look nice and feel good, they certainly seem more premium, they don't pack that well. I mean, there's a reason DJI gives you a pouch. So it's like we're back to almost this form factor at the end of the day. Just something I wanted to point out. So basically, the first thing you're going to do if, like me, you purchased the DJI Mic 2 and you already own the Osmo Pocket 3 and a single receiver, you're going to want to pair it to your new receiver. And the way you're going to do that is actually through the record button. You're going to press the record button for 2 seconds so that this light becomes a green light rather than a blue light, which the blue light signifies Bluetooth mode. And when it's connected to the Pocket 3, it is in Bluetooth mode because there's no actual receiver like the one you see here. Once you've turned off Bluetooth mode, you can then go into your brand new transmitter, or receiver I mean, this is the transmitter, tell it that you want to pair your microphone to it. You'll have to repair both, to my knowledge. That's what I had to do. And then you're just going to hold down the pairing button right here until this blinks green quickly. There's a slow blink and a quick blink. The slow blink is not what you want for pairing. I went through this multiple times, made me a little bit nuts. Once you know what you're doing, though, it's easy. It'll work on the first try, I promise. But as long as, like me, you don't know what you're doing initially, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So basically, once I got this to a slow blink and had it out of Bluetooth mode, it instantly paired with the new receiver. And that was it. You can see they're both on. If I go ahead and power this off right now, just hold down the power button there. These lights should go off, and they're now blinking. They're back. This is the slow blink that I was mentioning before. If I go ahead and power this back on, it should instantly pair. We can see the DJI splash coming on, telling me to confirm that I have the Sony hot shoe attached, and there we go. We're in business, recording mono out of both of the transmitters. Now, again, this is the Sony add-on that you'll want if you have an E-mount camera. It'll set you back $35 US. I'll include a link in the description for all of these things because I think DJI has outdone themselves with this. This, in essence, just allows you to connect this to something like an E-mount camera, such as my A1 or the FX3 I'm filming on now. Mount it right here, and then you have a pure digital connection, no wires necessary, and these lavs are going to record straight to your SD card or compact flash card, depending on what you use and what camera you own. And that's just another reason DJI has outdone themselves versus Gen 1. So not only did we get 32-bit float, eliminating the historical hassle of getting your levels right with lavs, we got internal storage for redundancy, but then for me, the extra icing on the cake is now having wireless connectivity with my Sony cameras that historically I could only do with Sony microphones that were proprietary to, well, the E-mount system, and prices reflected that. I mean, even if you wanted to go with the Sony mic system right now that works in the same way this little adapter does, comes with two lavs, you're looking at over $400. I believe the retail on that system is $450, and the quality is not as good as what you will get out of the Mic 2. And remember, when you want to go back to your Pocket, that's really the only hassle. You just have to switch this back to Bluetooth mode and make sure that it is paired with your Pocket 3. And you're in business. So that's pretty much the roundup today. I think that the Mic 2 from DJI is the best product of its kind on the market in 2024, just like the Osmo Pocket 3. And this is not surprising because when DJI has the lineage, invests the time, and actually innovates, the rest of the market takes notice. I mean, we know what they've done with drones, even if there are security concerns here in the US. They are the best in breed, best of kind product on the market, and the DJI Mic 2 is no exception. So really happy I ended up picking this up, more so even happier that they created a kit where I didn't have to buy something I didn't need, because that's a pet peeve of mine. And I was worried about that when I got this first mic wearing the dead cat. As you can see, I wondered if I was going to be, well, screwed, so to speak, and have to buy the full $350 kit, even if I didn't need the additional microphone or the actual charging case, which, as I mentioned, I could go out and pick up for $70. I just don't think that's worth it. Down the road, if it gets clearanced out, it'll have my attention, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. And just before I wrap up the video, quick side-by-side so you can see the differences in what changed. I'll pull off, of course, this guy because it's not part of it, and I don't have the little pogo port protector on there, so just be aware. But putting them side by side, you can see we now have a little jog dial, which I think is a great thing compared to the previous generation, but they are very similar. Sizing a little bit different, orientation of ports and buttons a little bit different. Get that into focus. Power button on the new unit is alone on the old unit. The Type-C port was there for charging and firmware. Now on the back of the Gen 2 unit is where the Type-C port is. We still have the pogo connectors and, of course, the clip for cold shoes. Come around to the left side of the unit, and we have our I/O, two line outs essentially, one audio out, which you will not have to use on Sony cameras if you have this little $35 adapter. With anything else, though, it will still work hardwired to your camera of choice, and then a headphone jack for audio monitoring. And the little screen is touchscreen, but as I mentioned, we now have this jog dial, which I think is great for jumping through menus. Let's take a look at the actual receivers and how they're different. So I'm going to actually let them stick to each other for the purposes of this demonstration. So you can see that on the left side of the new unit, we have an LED light, the sync button, and a power button. On the left side of the old unit, I'm confusing myself. That's the right side of the unit. On the right side of the old unit, we have the sync button and a record button. And then coming around to the left side of the Gen 1 unit, Type-C port and power button. On the Gen 2 unit, of course, we have a Type-C port and a record button, which, as I mentioned, also allows you to toggle between Bluetooth and the traditional receiver mode. And that's pretty much it. The other thing that's important to note is the actual design on the top of the mics. Gen 1, you had a mic hole, essentially, if you didn't want to use a wired lav connected to that port right there. That also is where the dead cat gets attached onto this whole assembly. In the new generation, the entire top is your built-in microphone, and then this is the anchor point for a hardwired lav or the dead cat. As you can see right here, when I pull this off, you can see that design. So a lot of changes went into this from Gen 1 to Gen 2. I think the least important one is clearly the cosmetic change of the transparency versus the Gen 1 solid, almost carbon fiber looking design. But overall, kudos to DJI for innovating in a space that maybe no one expected them to, but I'm glad that they did, especially with this little Sony cold shoe, aka hot shoe, add-on that turns this into a completely different tool than it was at launch. But that's pretty much it. If you're looking for best-in-class audio and really best-in-class flexibility, then the DJI Mic 2 is the way to go. If you're looking to save some money, I think that the original DJI Gen 1 microphone system is still excellent, but it's really only excellent if that's all your budget can afford. Otherwise, do yourself a favor and pick the Mic 2 up. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them at that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.